name is Alice, and I'm in Wonderland right now. Are you here for the tea party? We're just waiting for the Mad Hatter to arrive. Well, while we're waiting, would you like to read a story with me? And just so you know, between you and I, you can log on to WOBM.com or 94throughthepoint.com. While you're there, upload your photo watching stories like this to win prizes at Casino Pier this summer. Now, let's begin our journey to Wonderland. Have you ever tried to listen to a long, boring school book on a warm, lazy day? And have you ever wondered why anyone would make a book so boring? Then you are just like me. As Alice sat warm and sleepy, trying to listen to her sister read and daydreaming of how she would make books much more interesting, and how she would make a world with less sense and more nonsense, and how she might or might not make a chain of daisies when a white rabbit ran by. Now, Alice didn't think it was that strange to see a rabbit, but she did think it was very strange to see this rabbit take out a watch and hear him say, I'm late for a very important date. Which is why Alice, curious, jumped up and followed the white rabbit right into his rabbit hole. Which is how Alice, very curious, found herself suddenly falling and falling and falling. And the rabbit hole was either very deep or I was falling very slowly. I had time to recite all my spelling words. Then I landed with a gentle thump. Now, I saw the white rabbit disappear through a tiny door. It was much too big to fit through this rabbit-sized door, so I shrunk down after I drank a potion that said drink me. And of course then the door was locked. Now, the key was on a giant tabletop way over my head. Alice spotted the box of cookies marked Eat Me. She followed the directions again, and she grew, and she grew, and she grew, and she grew, until she was much too big to fit through any door. Alice felt so sad. Now how would she ever catch up to the white rabbit? She cried gallons of giant tears. Luckily, the tears floated the drink me bottle right into her giant hand. She drank. She shrunk. Now, tiny Alice floated on a sea of her own salty tears right through the keyhole. The waves of giant tears washed Alice ashore and into the woods. Something wiggled in the bushes. It must be the white rabbit, thought Alice. But it wasn't. It was two odd fellows named Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They didn't look very helpful at all, but to be polite, Alice introduced herself. My name is Alice, said you-know-who, and I'm following a white rabbit. She's curious, said Tweedledee. The oysters were curious too, said Tweedledum, and remember what happened to them? What did happen to the oysters, I said. Tweedledee and Tweedledum happily recited their curious poem about curious oysters. The oysters were invited to a dinner by the walrus, but they ended up being the dinner. That's a very sad story, I said, but it has a good morale, said Tweedledee. If you are an oyster, I said. Tweedledee and Tweedledum started reciting more strange poems, so I snuck away to search deeper into the forest for the white rabbit. A loaf of bread and butterflies flew lazily overhead, and I spotted crabgrass and a tiny horse with wings and rockers. A rocking horsefly, I said. Naturally, said the rose. At least Alice thought it was a rose. But that's nonsense, I said to myself. Flowers can't talk. Of course we can talk, said the rose. If there's anyone worth talking to, said the iris. Talking flowers, I thought. Oh, this is so wonderful, I said. But have you ever had something that you thought was wonderful turn out to be not so wonderful? Then I ran until I found a tree with a cat. Oh, the white rabbit went that way, said the tree. Oh, well, I'm trying to avoid people. Well, you can't help that. Most everyone is mad here, said the tree. And then he disappeared. Then I found the Mad Hatter and the March Hare having a tea party to celebrate their own birthdays. The Mad Hatter sang. Then the flowers talked and the flowers sang. Then the flowers started to ask questions. She's a weed, they yelled. I'm not a weed, I said. Then the nasty flowers chased me out of the garden till I found a tree with a talking cat. The white rabbit ran that way, the tree said. Then I found myself at a tea party with the Mad Hatter and the March Hare. Well, today is your own birthday, Alice, because today is not your birthday, so you have 364 own birthdays, they said. Then, after enjoying our tea, the Mad Hatter ran away again. I'm late for a very important date, he said. And of course I chased after him. This is such a silly tea party, I said as I was running away. And I found the White Rabbit. And I said, I have enough of this nonsense, I'm going home. And I grew sad and I grew worried and night fell. Then the cat opened a door in a nearby tree to show me the castle of the Queen of Hearts. Oh, I always wanted to meet a queen. I walked towards the castle, but then I saw some cards. Do you see them there? The cards came marching from every direction. Clubs, spades, hearts, nines, tens, jacks. And almost late for a very important date, just guess who just ran right by? The rabbit. And he grabbed my hand and blew his horn and said, Her Royal Majesty, Queen of Hearts. And do you know what the Queen yelled next? Off with her head. Oh no, I thought, and she didn't look very nice. The cards swarmed me, and I'd never thought I'd be afraid, but I was very afraid, and the White Rabbit ran, so I ran too. I ran back through the hedges, back past the Mad Hatter and the March Hare. Off with her head, yelled the Queen, and then I found a tiny door, locked. I simply must get out, I thought. But you are out, said the door. Then I looked through a keyhole. The door was right. I was outside, fast asleep, daydreaming under a tree in the warm, lazy day. The angry cards of their mean queen charged. Alice, please wake up. Alice, please wake up, I thought to myself. And suddenly I was awake. And I tried to tell my sister all about the Mad Hatter and birthdays and the cat and the Queen of Hearts and the White Rabbit. Come along, she said, it's time for tea. And then all I could do is just think about Wonderland, and I promised to myself, no matter how old and grown up I might ever get, I will always remember Wonderland. And then I went to tea. Well, I had the most wonderful time reading to you today. I hope that sometime you go visit Wonderland too.